Welcome back to CBS Saturday Morning. We begin this half hour with the global hunger crisis triggered by the war in Ukraine. On Friday, the United Nations World Food Program called for ports in southern Ukraine to be reopened in order to export the country's surplus of grain needed to feed millions of people around the world. The UN estimates that the war could cause the number of humans facing acute hunger to rise by 47 million to 323 million worldwide. Ukrainian farmers, meanwhile, are facing far more problems than where to send their harvests. Livesay reports.
If an army marches on its stomach, then Ukraine's farms have never been more vital and more of a target. The piglets and calves were screaming, says Lubov Zlobina. They were burned alive. Wheat fields have become battlefields, many farmers trading in their pitchforks for rifles, as Russian forces are said to be trucking away tons of Ukrainian grain and salting the earth they leave behind. What's the risk if you were to cultivate that land right now? It could mean death for me and my workers. North of Kyiv, Andrei Korotkov runs the last operative farm within 30 miles. Do you think that they're trying to use hunger as a weapon? I've seen it with my own eyes, he says. They've bombed our storehouses, and when they leave, they steal everything. They often cut the electricity and the water supply, too. Now, some 45% of Ukrainians worry about finding enough to eat, according to the World Food Program. Korotkov says it's the same tactic of the infamous 1933 famine, when Stalin starved millions of Ukrainians by cutting off their food. This time, it's also the world's food. Ukraine provides tens of millions of tons of wheat and corn globally, now cut to a trickle by Russia's invasion by land and blockade by sea. But the farming must go on, some suiting up with body armor in order to feed the country. We go out, pass the checkpoints, get to work, drink tea and coffee, put on our vests, and go, says Yuri. Others seen on social media use their tractors to capture abandoned Russian armored vehicles, low-hanging fruit left by soldiers low on morale. Such acts are nothing short of heroic, says Korotkov, as his country fights tooth and nail. My biggest worry is for human life, my own family, and for Ukraine to be free, so our children and grandchildren are by our side, he says. Like so many warriors, he's met his breaking point. What's your message to the Russian soldiers who are currently on this land? That none of them go home alive, he says, and our heroes come home to their families. For CBS Saturday Morning, Livesay, Kyiv.